Hello, it is I, Greg Bosson, master of all things QuickBooks and owner of QuickBooks Made Easy. And you are listening to the March 2019 QuickTips email newsletter video. And in this particular month, and by the way, again, it's March of 2019 and I'm in the middle of tax season, but I stopped to do this because I love you. So plus, I just like doing this. So what we're going to discuss today is how to clean up receivables. So let me show you what the problem is, and then I'll show you how to find the reasons for the problems and then how to fix them. So here's the problem. We're in the online edition, and this is for those of us that are using the online edition. We have another video for those of you using the desktop. But anyway, so if you notice, it says we have open invoices right on your dashboard of $290. And you're like, I don't think we have that much in open invoices. And as a matter of fact, this number's always way off. So you got to figure out what's going on here. So you can click on here in the bar and it just tells you, some things anyway. Not everything you need to know, but it's going to tell you some stuff. And this usually takes a minute to open for some reason. But anyway, so you can see here that there are two overdue invoices that are really old. This is a long time ago, and we know these things have been paid, or what's the problem here? So in order to clean these things up, you really don't want to look at the dashboard and click on the bar. You really want to go to a report, and I'm going to go to it now. It's under Reports, and it's a standard report, so you'll need to be over here. And it's under Who Owes You, and it's amazing to me how many people don't do this. It's the Open Invoices report. So you want to click on this report, and you want to change the date range so that it's all dates. So it gives you every single thing that's in receivables, because it may be that there's stuff in there with future dates. So once you do that, then you can really see what's going on. This gives you much more information. Okay, so you can start to analyze this. This is what you should do. So the first one here, it's an invoice to Peter Anderson. It's $65. It's not that old. It's good. I want to leave it alone. This, though, is an invoice that's really old. It says they owe $202 or just $2. We'll go back to the invoice. And what happened here, this was basically an invoice for $102 where the person just paid us, let's see, the person paid $100, which leaves $2. So they shorted us $2. So how do we get rid of that $2? So it's a two-step process if you want to get rid of a balance, because maybe you know it's already been paid, or maybe it's never going to be paid, or whatever. How do you get rid of this? So you can do something called a credit memo to lower an invoice, but I think it's easier, to be honest with you, and a little bit cleaner to just do a journal entry. And I don't often say that, but in this case, I'm going to say that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a journal entry for this. So let me exit out of here. Mary Aldridge. I'm just trying to remember the name of the customer. I'm going to go to the plus sign, and if you're afraid of journal entries, don't worry. You've got the little video here to follow later. I'm going to click journal entry. It's very important that you make the date of the journal entry in the current year. You don't want to do it in the prior year, even though the invoice is in a prior year, because that's going to mess up prior year's books. Okay. Now, what we want to do is they've got accounts receivable at $2, and I assume you could, if you wanted to, re-invoice them, just send the old invoice saying you still owe us $2. But again, I'm just going to write it off using a journal entry. So I want to make the accounts receivable account go down by $2. So I'm going to put $2, and then let me see, to write off underpayment, because it's only $2, and they're a good customer. You got to put the name of the customer here. So this was Mary Aldridge, and we'll put it to whatever the class was that the original invoice went to, and I confess I don't remember. Now, the other side of it, this is really an expense because you were owed the $2 and you're writing it off. So I'm going to put it to bad debt expense. You could put it somewhere else if you wanted to. Some people like to put it against the income account. Some people like to create another account called discounts or something, but I'm just going to write it off to bad debt. I know bad debt sounds so bad, but oh, get it? Bad debt. Anyway, whatever. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. So once it's saved, I'm going to go back to where my report is, and here's my report. Here's my $2. I'm going to refresh this. I have to refresh the report to get it to reflect the fact that I did this journal entry, and now it looks like this. So have you made this $2 payment go away? Not really. The total account is now at zero for Mary Aldridge, but you haven't really connected the journal entry to the invoice, and the invoice may show outstanding still. So this is a two-step process. Step one is to create the journal entry. Step two is to apply it to a particular invoice. You see, when we were in the journal entry screen, we could just apply it to the customer as a whole, not a specific invoice. So to do it to the specific invoice, you want to receive a payment. Okay? Anytime you want to lower an invoice amount, you always got to go to the receive payments window. So we did a journal entry. Now we're going to go to a receive payments window, and you're going to receive a payment, and we're going to receive it for that customer. Now we're not really receiving a payment. Okay, we're not really going to fill out an amount received because they didn't pay us anything. Here's the invoice, but look what we have down here. Our journal entry is showing as a credit, just like a credit memo would show. So I'm going to click on an invoice here. And for those of you that are wondering why I don't just do a credit memo, it's because if you do a credit memo, then you'll need to create a product service that points to the expense account that you want the credit to go to. And if you understood that, then go for it. If you didn't understand it, then don't worry about it. This is why I like journal entries better. So I'm going to click this. So I'm checking them off against each other. So there's a +2 and a -2, nets to 0. There's no payment received. Make sure you do this in the current year, that payment date, and then I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. I'm going to go back to my report. Here's the plus and the minus. I'm going to refresh the report, and when I refresh it, you'll see that it's going to disappear altogether. Now, here is another problem in the reverse direction. This is a negative. Now, how do you have a negative receivable? Well, this person paid us $100. It was Tom Barber. They gave us cash, but it was against an invoice for $99.95. And they just said, here, Tom just said, here's $100. So now there's a 5-cent overpayment. Now you could wait till you do another invoice to Tom and apply the 5 cents if you're, a very honest person. But maybe this customer's gone and isn't coming back, or maybe it's just like it's 5 cents and I just am anal retentive and I want this gone. You can do a journal entry for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the journal entry window. Let me exit out of here. And I'm going to do a journal entry plus journal entry. Now this time you've got a negative receivable. So this time I want receivables to go up by 5 cents. Now what you could do, by the way, is instead of doing a journal entry, you could go to the invoice that originally was for this and increase it by 5 cents. But I wouldn't do that because, again, that's going to change your books in a prior year. Instead, let's do a journal entry in the current year. We want to make receivables go up by 5 cents to, remove overpayment. Okay, and this was for Tom Barber. I think I'll just start typing his name. There he is. And then whatever the appropriate class would be, again, it should be the same class that the original invoice went to. And this is really income to you because it's money that they overpaid you and you're going to keep it. So it's income. We put it to miscellaneous income, 5 cents. Put it for Tom Barber and for job counseling. We'll save it. We're going to go back to our little report. There's our 5 cents. I'm going to refresh it. And now, and again, two-step process. We got to go and we got to receive a payment. So I'll just receive the payment real quick. Receive a payment. And where is it? Here it is. And this was Tom. So you get to see me do this many, many times. Now we're not really receiving a payment. Again, we're just pulling this up to apply our journal entry to our unapplied overpayment. And then we check them off against each other. We click Save and Close. We go back to our little Open Invoices report. We refresh it. And now it's gone. So the only thing that's left, and I just kind of put this here because some of you have this. Here's a journal entry. Well, here's an invoice that's really old to Elaine Bennis. If Seinfeld fans, you know, I love Elaine Bennis. Anyway, so someone did a journal entry to remove it. This was probably your accountant or your auditor that did the journal entry, but they never applied it to the invoice because accountants know journal entries, but they don't know QuickBooks. So again, how do you think you're going to apply this? How do you think you're going to do it? We've done it multiple times now. Again, we're going to go to Receive Payments. So we go to the Receive Payment window. This time we don't have to do the journal entry. The accountant already did it. And this was for Elaine Bennis. And again, you don't put anything up here. Make sure you're doing this in the current year. And then we simply check off the invoice that we know has been finished or has been zeroed out with the journal entry that the accountant did 2 years ago or whatever it was. We click Save and Close. We go back to our report. We'll refresh the report. And once we refresh the report, all that's going to be left is the $65, which as I'm waiting for this to open, I will thank you for listening to QuickBooks. Oh my gosh, golly. I love when that happens. That's how you know that this is a real thing that's occurring. There we go. There's our $65 right there. So thank you for listening. If you do want to sign up for our little email newsletter, Quick Tips, I'm sure there's somewhere on your screen you can push to sign up for it. And have a wonderful spring.